everybody, Coach Julia here. Today's video, I want to talk about something that I've dealt with personally and I've had athletes deal with, and I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who deal with it as well, and that is overcoming mental blocks in weightlifting. What's important to understand about the way our neurology, our brains work, is that when your brain and when your body feel uncertain about something, they can't predict the outcome of something, or something feels scary or threatening, it will generally have one of three responses: fight, flight, and the third one that's not talked about enough is freeze. And that's what we're looking at when you're looking at bailing or freezing in the middle of a lift. The logical part of your brain is no longer in control of sailing your ship. What we have is the automatic, or some might say primal, part of your brain that has a very specific set of reactions that it uses when it feels threatened or unable to predict safety. A lot of times we just need to take steps that move us toward the greater goal, that are a big enough distance that feels like it's a challenge, but not so big that it completely gets you to freeze. When I look at athletes who freeze in lifts, that's the big puzzle that we have to address. For what reasons does your brain not feel safe? And how can we fix that? So let's talk about the snatch, right? Somebody freezing in the middle of trying to pull under in a snatch. One of the reasons that that might happen is because your brain doesn't have a sufficient enough mental map of where that bar is going and where your body is going relative to the bar in the moment of flight, right? All throughout that pull, you might be really aware of where you are and where the bar is relative to you to here, and then once your feet leave the ground and we start pulling, you no longer have a map of where you're gonna end up. And that is a problem, because your brain is not gonna allow you to go where it doesn't know you're going to be safe. So if we had a map, and you had a trail, and then suddenly it stops, and then it says, hey, pick up here, and you don't have that bridge in between, that's gonna be a really hard challenge to cross, right? If you don't have a bridge over that, there's a good chance you're never gonna make that leap. Now, a lot of that, developing that mental map, is teaching athletes how to stay connected to the bar throughout the turnover phase. That can be really challenging, because you're moving in one direction and the bar is moving in a different direction. We might do a few muscle snatches first. Again, just teaching your brain, this is what my arms do in this moment. Then we might do a few overhead squats. This is what my body does in this moment. And then they're gonna try to put it together without moving their feet, because again, foot movement adds another variable. So they might pull and sit. And if they have a hard time doing that, in a light enough technique bar that they can do it really slow. And that way they develop this awareness, this kinesthetic awareness of where the bar is in space relative to their body. Now, if that's successful, then you can add footwork in. So again, the arms do one thing, the body does another thing. This time we're gonna move the feet. So improving proprioception is the first part of overcoming those mental blocks. The second part is developing sufficient strength, because weightlifting is a strength sport. The athlete needs to feel confident in their ability to both pull the weight off the ground appropriately and receive it in the right positions. And that can either be front squatting, overhead squatting, or more specific to the snatch balance. This also applies to the jerk, right? That's why we do things like really heavy jerk dips, so that athletes can feel more confident in their ability to maintain that really strong rack position as they're loading their legs, and jerk recovery, so that once they get overhead, they know they have the strength to be under that weight, to be under that barbell, and to recover it successfully. So again, they need the proprioception, they need to have the body awareness of where the bar is in space, and they need to feel confident in their strength levels to support the various parts of the lift. And then the third thing that's gonna help athletes overcome this is manipulating the environment. So a lot of times if athletes are successful in training, but then they have a hard time transitioning it onto the platform, it's all about recreating those variables so that they can feel more safe. That might be waving numbers up and down, right? Maybe they go 85%, 87%, 90%, back to 80%, 82%, right? Just playing around with that. It may be that the clock freaks them out, right? They get stressed about the time management, in which case they need to practice lifting on a clock, either every minute or every 2 minutes, so they get really proficient with that. If it's the environment of having people watch them, they need to practice that. Things like heavy singles on a particular day with the team, or a mock meet, things that are lower stakes, that if they make mistakes, if something goes wrong, there's not a big consequence to it, and that way they can practice those skills and help them feel more confident and safe in their ability to succeed. Okay, so there's my thoughts on that. I know that's a really challenging thing to try to overcome. I know we've all been there at various points in our lifting career. Stay with it. Again, find a systematic approach. It's all about scaffolding these big problems, meaning providing as many tools to the athlete that they can latch onto and find their own solution. If they need more timed things, do more timed things. If they just need to feel stronger off the floor, overhead, whatever the case may be, let them get stronger there. If they just need to develop that proprioception, more technical primers are the ways to go. And it's probably a combination of all of the above. Thanks for watching. As always, if you have questions, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram for even more knowledge. Subscribe for weekly knowledge bombs. See you next time.